The next time you're in Hamburg, Bremen, Lübeck, Rostock, Lüneburg, or any of these cities across northern Germany, take a look at their license plates. Since German license plates show the city that the car was registered in, you can see the abbreviations of every city in Germany. With this in mind, you might have noticed that all the cities I just mentioned have abbreviations starting with an H, even cities like Lübeck and Bremen. So why do they have an H in them? Short answer, a little something called the Hanseatic League. Brought to you by NordVPN. The Hanseatic League was a merchant union between many of the great trading cities across the northern and Baltic seas, stretching from Bruges in modern-day Belgium to Riga in modern-day Latvia, and even with presences in Finland, Norway, and England. However, their main players were many of the cities across northern Germany. These sea lanes and their surrounding settlements were rich with resources like timber, wax, wheat, resins, and cannabis merch, which you can now get by going to cannabis.tv and clicking store, or by clicking the link just below NordVPN's link. Oh, and also in merchants of all different kinds of trades. Basically, it was the perfect place to establish a city in an online mobile game. It was these such merchant towns which would eventually give rise to the Hanseatic League. Across the northern shores of modern-day Germany, numerous guilds, known as Hanse in the German of the time, were established for the merchants of the area to form and protect business partnerships and trading relations. In 1241, the cities of Lübeck and Hamburg formed an alliance which was essentially the precursor to the Hanseatic League. Lübeck had access to the fishing grounds, or waters, of the North and Baltic Seas, while Hamburg controlled access to the salt trade routes of Lüneburg. Cologne joined this alliance in 1260, and the Hanses grew over the next 100 years, until the Hanseatic League was truly formally established with the first general diet of the Hanse in 1356 in Lübeck. As the Hanses continued to expand, they came into fierce competition with the trading powers of Scandinavia, who had previously controlled trade in these waters, or at least until they signed a treaty with Visby on Gotland, which would become part of the League. The Hanseatic League wasn't necessarily an empire as we would know it in the traditional sense, but was more of an economic and defensive alliance between the merchant powers of the region. You see, this region didn't have a strong central power to govern it, and so, they kinda needed something. Outside of their non-empire though, the Hanses established various foreign trading posts, each known as a Kontor, meaning office. These Kontora were established in many different cities outside the League, including London, Bergen, and Novgorod, with ports and warehouses owned by the League, all the while being located in a city that was not in the League. The traders of the League also often made a habit of establishing trading settlements either just outside or often just inside the walls of a new city they found would be good for trading. As the Hanseatic League was not a single kingdom or empire, it had quite a unique political structure for the time, with many experts liking it to a kind of medieval European Union in some ways, notably Britain's reluctance to get fully involved with them. The League was essentially a conglomeration of different merchant towns and city-states, although it kind of fell somewhere slightly in between a united state and a confederation of independent city-states. Perhaps the best way to describe it would be as a highly structured defensive and trade alliance. The Hanseatic League did have an army as well as a legal system, taxes, and the member cities would send envoys to the occasional diet meeting in the capital of Lübeck. Hanseatic traders were often even exempt from local taxes and laws while trading abroad in England, Scandinavia, or Russia. The League thrived in this manner for a couple hundred years, until it eventually met its downfall, starting in the 16th century as they started getting territorially bullied by the Swedish Empire and Denmark, and economically bullied by the suddenly vastly prosperous British and especially Dutch East India companies. As the foreign contori also started to close once their hosts started to stop liking them as much due to often monopolistic actions and not following local laws, the remaining cities of the Hanseatic League also started to look towards local interests, especially as, Germany was looking like it was about to approach starting to be a thing. Of course, putting together foreign traders that want to trade in a city with low taxes, and a kingdom that wants to extract as much in taxes as it can from said traders, goes about as well as orange juice and ketchup, or about as well as cannabis and not stealing jokes from Half as Interesting. In the last formal meeting of the Hanseatic League in 1669, only 9 member cities remained, and by the time of its final dissolution in 1862 with the rise of Brandenburg Prussia, only 3 cities remained: Hamburg, Lübeck, and Bremen. Honestly though, respect to Hamburg and Lübeck for playing it out from beginning to end, that's dedication. Of course, nowadays the Hanseatic League is basically just the geopolitical equivalent of a pile of dust, and barely anything remains of it today, right? Well, not really. While the Hanseatic League might not really be relevant today, their legacy is still very visible across the areas they once traded across. Of course, the most visible source of this is all the references that are made to it in modern-day Northern Europe. For example, the German cities of Bremen, Demmin, Greifswald, Hamburg, Lübeck, Lüneburg, Rostock, Stade, Stralsund, and Wismar, as well as the Dutch cities of Groningen, Deventer, Kampen, Zutphen, and Zwolle, all call themselves Hanseatic cities in their official titles. It's not just the Hansa cities, though, but also several organizations in the region, from FC Hansa Rostock to the Hansa University of Applied Sciences Groningen, to the biggest airline in Europe if including its subsidiaries, the Cologne-based Lufthansa. And of course, once again, many modern experts even draw plenty of parallels between the freely trading Hanseatic League and the European Union of the current day. Now, speaking of online security, this video was sponsored by NordVPN. Now, when you think about it, NordVPN and the Hanseatic League aren't all too different, since they were both founded to keep their customers safe from piracy. Cringe-inducingly forced jokes aside, NordVPN is also a highly rated VPN service that allows you to keep your data safe and sound from malware and spyware by encrypting your data into something called a VPN tunnel. Of course, they also have over 5,000 different servers all around the world that you can log onto in more than 60 different countries. That's even more countries than there currently are in the Hanseatic League. If you want access to that sweet European Netflix from the US, or any other combination of countries, NordVPN is offering Canubis viewers 75% off a 3-year plan with a 30-day money-back guarantee if you go to nordvpn.org/Canubis and use the promo code Canubis at checkout. As always, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and support the channel on Patreon, like our new Space Age patron, the Redbird. Also, just as a reminder, be sure to check out the new merchandise that has just gone up. We have t-shirts, hoodies, infographic posters, mugs, and we'll be adding more new items over time. See you on Sunday.